Yo, Row 96 is rocking in our review, unfolding with the confesses of Patria, an authoritarian regime on the brink or of real political change. Row 96 casts you as a teenage drifter in the summer of 1996, leaving the comfort of home in order to make it to the border and attempt to escape the stifling country that has suffocated your dreams for so long. A dynamic narrative-driven adventure that is told from a first-person perspective. Row 96 isn't perspective at all about how you should get to the border, only that you should only take care of the wayward teenager and assure you that they don't die and not get captured along the way. A road trip is immensely personal pilgrim, and Row 96 get that. Essentially, Row 96 has you traveling from the point to point, encountering different situations, and then based on the decision that you make, your road to the border change accordingly. Each of the areas that you will stop at might be really small, but the sheer amount of the freedom that you offer helps to make each situation feel impactful and compelling. The very first situation you encounter in the first episode, for example, has you helping a stunted police officer who has lost relative to the war, and the after all that having up you make you own to the border. Do you hitchhike and risk getting into the car and solve the individual and save a chunk of the change in the process? Or do you hop on the bus, wasting valuable money as the result, but also gaining a measure of safety in the process? No matter which you choose, each choice generously blossoms out into a lush tree of opportunity as you meet new faces, acquaintances, and learn new skills and abilities as you itch your way toward the border. As such, Row 96 really taps into the word trip hold such a powerful place in our psyche. That sensation of thundering onward in the exciting unknown, discovering new places, meeting new people, hearing their stories, sharing in their experiences, gaining their friendship, and making an inevitable mark on acquaintances that you make along the way is all captured here. Rather than being an entirely handcrafted affair, Row 96 is actually a procedural generated effort which essentially graduates something approaching a completely fresh experience each time you play. However, despite the lack of personality that procedural design sometimes inspires, Row 96 nonetheless feels a very personal and intimate venture. Each time you manage to get one of the Patria's wayward teens across the border, you not only gain some tricks and new abilities to use the next time, but begin in an entirely different area of the country, meeting familiar faces from the previous playthroughs at different points within their respective timelines. Learning a lockpick skill might allow you, for example, to gain access on a track that is crossing the border, attempt to gain access that way, while another way to achieve a similar result could be simply climb over and hike across the mountain of the freedom, a risky exploit that drains away a huge amount of hell in the process. Quite simply, the guitars have done a completely fantastic job of threading together the fates of the characters, and even in the Row 96 the whole affair coalesces together as much as more heartfelt and personable experience than its procedural design would otherwise suggest. Much more than the road trip, Row 96 wraps a much larger macro narrative around of its freedom-seeking protagonist, and it here that the notion of the freedom of the choices really comes into play. As mentioned at the top of the review, Patria is the country where the Row 96 takes place. It's like a culturally kaleidoscopic hodgepodge of Canada and the United States and some Eastern European territories. As authoritarian state, and while seeking your freedom is the ultimate goal, you will come into contact with some war sympathies to the current reader. In the case of the later group, rebels known as the Bridges and fighting back but seeming act of terrorism which apparently caused the day of the innocent fall 10 years of prison, casted the group in a bad light, and this is something that mammoth Patreon propaganda machines waste no time in exploring. Where the idea of the choices comes in here is how you express your own political views and how others react to them. Vandalizing posters or either side will exploit authority hostile and warm responses for the loyalists and rebels alike, while many opportunities arise to help the brigade of the authorities both directly and indirectly. And this thing because you can play the key role in helping to overthrow the current government and the maintain in everything you do in the Patria as you make your way to the border feels worthwhile. Not last, Patria feels like a truly lived in place rather than the same faceless sandbox it's to avoid personalities or uniqueness. Audio-visually, Road 96 is something is attractive of redesigned read. Through the game does affect it looks similar on the Telltale Walking Dead games. It's nonetheless shines through a vast array of vibrant release locals that stretch across the wide and breadth of Patria itself. The audio side of the thing is equally up to task, beating up the series of going eastward that wonderfully underscore freeform narrative that Road 96 exposes. If Road 96 has something analogous to the Arceus Hill, it will be nice. It's quick as long as I have liked. In Patria, developer Dixix have created an immersively compelling realm stuffed full of interesting characters and situations that in many cases feel lovingly influenced by the silver screen, and it's a shame that one of the different characters have been played through the all scenarios completed that there is no more to do beyond that 15-20 hours competition time. I know it sounds like I'm being greedy, but I'd say more of the testament will bring word of the Road 96 that I simply never wanted to see it come to the end. Deeply emotional, intimately crafted and bursting with the freedom, Road 96 takes interactive storyline to a whole new frontier and provides players a timely reminder that the developer Dixart is one of the most underappreciated stories in the world today. Road 96 is essential and only real fault with that, while it has quicker that one would have that as far as the flaws go in a game like this. There are arguably many worse melodies to have than that. Count for being 10 throwers for whatever is DigiCard to next, because Road 96 is indication that this developer close to apex on their craft. Thank you for watching, don't forget to comment, subscribe and peace. So peace.